Hi, so I was going to film this without me looking at the camera because with cold weather, mate, the eczema what I started developing about a month or so ago was really, really bad earlier on. It was really sore. My whole neck was red. It's not too bad now. It's a bit of it's covered up with makeup, but I thought, so I wasn't going to film. I was just going to do, like a hands one. But yeah, we managed to put ointments on and stuff. Left it for a few hours. It's calmed down a bit now. Covered up my arms because they look really horrible. Um, you don't need to know that. But yeah, so I'm going to do a review, but it will be in two parts, and you'll understand the reason why. So I didn't go to the comic shop last week, so I had 2 weeks worth of comics to pick up this weekend, and I did pick up some others as well. I spent a lot. That's so wrong. I am going to be doing a cult, and in fact, some of the reviews you're going to hear about um, some of the comics I'm stopping, and I'm not stopping because they're bad. They're fantastic, but I just can't afford it. So some of them will be trade waiting for. One of the ones I will be doing, and this has sorted itself out for me perfectly, is Absolute Wonder Woman, which first issue I absolutely loved. I absolutely loved Absolute Wonder Woman. But I went to my shop, picked some comics, and I thought, oh, got number two in the box, perfect. Brought it home. It was the second printing of issue number one. So I thought that's a sign because I've been having such a hard time getting number one. Now I've got number one, two lots of it. But the number one issue, second printing, looks very similar to issue two. So I think they just made a faux pas, but they had none left in the shop. So I thought this is somebody telling me just to quit it. So I'm stopping Absolute Wonder Woman. I'm going to get trade weight for that. So I think it'll look better in book form anyway, read better. And I'm going to trade weight Absolute Superman. And I'm just going to get Absolute Batman in comic form because I'm 2 issues deep already. Superman and Wonder Woman, I've only read one issue of each, so it doesn't affect it that much. It'll work out cheaper in the long run. I'm also stopping Batgirl, and again, not because I hate it, I love it. Again, trade weight for it. The reason being, you'll find out in my review, there's another female focused comic which I like even more. It is just perfect. I think it's initially 6 issue, but hopefully it gets popular and it becomes an ongoing like Poison Ivy did. But we'll come to that in a minute. So my video is going to be in two parts. So I'll do one chunk today and another chunk midweek. Basic reason being, I can't. There's about 32 comics. I can't read that much in a day. So I've read the majority of DC and some of a company that I said I was stopping. And I've kind of come back, but it was one that I never got rid of the comics. I put them like the back burner just to see how the series developed, and there's been a lot of positive feedback about these particular series, and you'll see what I mean in a few minutes. So I'm going to be looking at those and the majority of DC, and then the second part of the review video, which whenever that will be midweek, that'll be the indies and the remainder of DC, which there's only a few smatterings of those. So yeah, so let's jump in. Oh, and midweek I might do it tonight, but I don't know because, like I said, my eczema's it is sore. So I'll see how it go. If not, it'll be midweek again for the look at previews for February. It might even be the weekend, but at least you're getting one today. It's going to be waffly, as you can tell. So first up, we've got, like I said, it's been 2 weeks worth. So Action Comics 1076 and 1077. I love that cover. Very reminiscent of, is it Superman? Yeah, it's Superman 1, isn't it? When the Zod and that lot get trapped in it. It was one of the first two films anyway. Yeah, so I love that cover. So yeah, hate it being weekly. It's going to go back to monthly in January, but when it goes back to monthly in January, I'm stopping it then. I literally have, because I think it's a good jumping off point. Um, I'm just going to stick with Superman for my Superman title and World's Finest. But I'm only getting this because it's Mark Waid on it, and he's doing a banger of a Superman story. Yeah, what more can be said? The artwork by Clayton Henry is really good. I love the whole retro vibe of the covers with these kind of little circle bullets, what they used to have back in the day in the 70s, and like here with the lettering. It's just great. It's very retro. That's Mark Waid's forte, just like retro futuristic superhero stories. I should, but the artwork by Clayton Henry is just wonderful as well. if you're on Threads, he has on Threads as well. It shows his art process. Really interesting to look at. So yeah, it's a great one. So he's gone back in time to before Krypton exploded when he was a baby, and he meets his parents. So he's undercover. It's all timey-wimey stuff. Really good. I don't want to give up much, mate. Do read it if you're not getting it weekly, because it is expensive to get it weekly. But I'm a mark for Mark Waid. He's so good. And the story in the backup. Oh. This is such a messy video. The story is backup is Supergirl centric, focus Supergirl, written by Mariko Tamaki, who since Satana, it's like she's suddenly got this extra creative boost in her writing, and the art is by Megan Hattrick. It's a different artist this time. It's Skylar Partridge on the others, but she's very similar. But yeah, it's got a very sci-fi flavour to it. Really good. Very different in tones than the main story. But yeah, excellent comics. 8 out of 10. I'm resentful it's weekly, but I'd be resentful if I had to wait a month for the story. I think it would be better if they went the middle ground and just made it bi-weekly every 2 weeks. But it is what it is. And next up we have The Flash. This could be one of my favourite covers of the week. I love that pinball design. It's great. It's like he's eased on the brakes a bit now, Suspiria. So there's not as much weirdy sci-fi info dumping anymore. You're not sat there scratching your head until like the last page. It is still very timey-wimey. It deals a lot with the multiverse, but in a very weird science kind of style, unlike the classic Marvel tropes where it's hey, this is a variation of me kind of thing. It's more about time being different and how it can impact different things, and how you can appear at one place at the same time and things like that. And I like how Suspiria, the art, by the way, is by Georgiev, who is Vasco Georgiev. He's got a really nice cartoony style. I like the white paneling on it as well, the white borders. So where I said Jeremy Adams was a bit cloying, it's a bit candy flossy. Hey, family. Yeah, the family's in here, but Salisbury writes it very much like Grant Morrison wrote the family dynamics in Animal Man, where it's a family but there's warts and all. It's not the perfect American family like Jeremy Adams was doing it. Not that I'm a convert to Jeremy Adams now since Green Lantern, so he's far from a bad writer. He's a fantastic writer. But I just think Salisbury has a better grasp of the weirdness that you need in The Flash. Because yeah, it's superheroes, but there's always been that very weird science element to it. From Mark Waid, from back even in the 50s and early 60s, there's that weird science thing. I think he's one of the few that had that kind of flavour in the DC heroes. Not like space science fiction, but like just messing about with time and speed. And this is what Suspiria's got a really good handle on this. It incorporates the newly set ground rules for the Watchtower, the Justice League Unlimited Watchtower, so there's much more interaction with other superheroes, but done in a way where it doesn't feel obtrusive. And I like how they're vacationing in, is it Scaros, the Warlord's place anyway. But yeah, it's a pleasure to read. 8 out of 10. Not disappointed I've carried on with that. Possibly one of the best comics of the past few months and it surprised me because I was very cautious about this. It can be very hot or it can be very cold, and it's Tom Taylor's new run on Detective Comics with Mikhail Janin. And Mikhail Janin is doing not just the pencils and inks, he's doing colouring as well. It's some of the nicest artwork out there, and the writing by Tom Taylor is exceptional. Very different in tone to Nightwing. I think he's got a better handle on Bruce Wayne than he does on Dick Grayson, to be honest. It's very satisfying. It's a perfect transition from Ram V's run. He's not trying to ape Ram V. Tonally it's very different, but it's still got that. I like how Detective almost feels like the more serious Batman comic, The stories just feel more meaty, more weighty, and that's what I feel that here. There's a mystery going on here, where young criminals are being targeted and executed. So there's a vigilante, not just Batman, but this vigilante is much more ruthless, much more hardline, and they don't just reprimand the villains, they kill them, especially if they're young. So yeah, it's developing that mystery further. And there's another mystery about this woman who's a friend of Bruce's, who's become a doctor, and she says she's got this anti-aging serum which can just help prolong your life. And so Bruce is thinking about this because obviously his body's basically knackered now with the amount of hits and damage he's taken through his course of being Batman. So that's developing further as well. 9 out of 10. It's a near perfect comic. And another near perfect comic, and again Batman the Long Halloween, the last Halloween. I know some people say, oh, not Batman again. Look, you can't level out DC anymore. They've got so much new stuff. This is what's driving me mad. I don't know what to stop. There's so much good stuff. But if it's of a high caliber, fuck it, don't care who the character is. If it's written really well, bring it on. And this is written exceptionally well. This is the story of what was meant to be carried on by Tim Sale. It was the new one in the Long Halloween series, the last Halloween, but unfortunately he passed away, so his artistic friends have taken over and they're doing a different artist each issue. And this issue is Mike Chiarello, who was the editor for a lot of his stuff. He was the one who oversaw the creation of Batman Black and White, and his art style, it's got that impressionistic feel of Tim Sale, that use of light and shadow, but it's different enough that you know it's him, that you know it's Mike Chiarello, and it's gorgeous, and it's such a good mystery developing further. And I like how the writing Tim, where he's not Tim, I think it's Dick, but the writing Dick, where he's very brash, very hot-headed, which is links up to another comic. Yeah, really enjoying it. 9 out of 10. And it's seen as we're on the Batman tip. I think this could be my favourite cover, to be honest. There's nothing really special about it. It's just the whole composition of it. I love how this building just becomes like this framing device for Robin and Batman. You don't know if it's meant to be that way, you don't know if it's meant to be that way. It's just really dynamic, and I love the salmon background as well. It's an unusual colour to have as a highlighter, and it catches your eye. When I saw this with Russ Powell, this caught my eye straight away. It looks simple, but it's far from it. Chris Samnee is the new Alex Toth, is so good. This is one of the finest comics I've read this year. The use of panel layouts. I know people are singing the praises of Absolute Batman, but for me, this is the Batman comic of the year. It plays at Mark Waid's strength. They just work. There's so much synergy between Mark Waid and Chris Samnee. They bounce off each other creatively, so you don't know where one story idea has been developed by Mark Waid or where it's been developed by Chris Samnee, because they both take credit of being storytellers on this as well. And it's just the things in the background as well. The dialogue is going on, but then whereas some comics you see the dialogue and there's just nothing going on in this panel itself, whereas this, it's like a film, you can see stuff going on in the background to the main characters, and it just adds so much to the story. It's light-hearted without it being fluffy. There's a depth to it there, so it's light, but then there's sudden bolts of darkness, and you go, oh, that's pretty bit grim, and then it pulls you out of it again, so it doesn't let you dwell on dark too much. It's a masterclass in comics, a perfect 10 out of 10. And it's only 2 issues deep, only $3.99. Do go out and get it. And another one that I recommend everybody should be reading is Superman. That cover, oh my life, it's so good. This artwork by Dan Mora is just unfreaking believable. I like my superheroes very street level a lot of the time, but I love Superman. Josh Williamson knows how to write Superman, knows how to write the cast. I think what I like about Superman, he's basically a god, and yet he's the most human superhero out of any publisher's canon of superheroes. He's more human than Peter Parker, who's got heart, which a lot of superheroes don't have. Yeah, it's weird. Even though he's basically Mr. Indestructible, he is, like I said, he's almost Christ-like. he's the most human and grounded superhero you can get. He's got so much empathy, and that's what makes him such an appealing character when he's written by the right person. And Josh Williamson and Mark Waid, again, they both know how to write Superman, and they don't just make him this Boy Scout goody goody. He can get angry, but it's not when things are thrown at him, it's when it's thrown at people he loves. That's when you see the flip side of Superman. And of course, I love how this should not work with Lois Lane being Superwoman, but oh my god, it works. And I love how they've developed. What the fuck is he called? Doomsday. I love how they've developed Doomsday from being a very tonally one-dimensional character to something different. I don't want to elaborate too much because, again, start reading from All In. It's fantastic. The artwork is just beautiful. The writing is just beautiful. There's a very sad bit in here. One of my favourite villains gets killed in this. Hopefully not for long, but it's got, for a superhero comic, it has repercussion, it has weight to it. And yeah, 9 out of 10. Another DC, you're performing miracles. Not many. There's no duff ones. There's one that's a bit, but we'll come to that in a bit. But Green Arrow number 18. This is the first full comic issue by Chris Condon of That Texas Blood, and who's the artist? I love the artist, Montos. The artwork is so good. It works perfectly with Chris's storytelling writing. So this is how I wanted Green Arrow from the beginning. They've got rid of all the time travel stuff. They've got rid of all the, let's have all my family on every panel. Let's squeeze about 50 characters who you marginally know, but hey, it's all family, nice. I'm such a bitter person. They've got rid of that. It's unnecessary. They've gone back, and Chris Condon said he wants to do this. He's gone back to the heart of what Green Arrow was. So it's got the flavour of the Brad Meltzer run. It's got the flavour of especially the Mike Grell run. It's just perfect, and I like how the costume has changed a little bit, so it's very much a tribute to the classic Mike Grell one. It's much more, less armour and more fluidity, so it's much, you could picture him, it just suits his character much more. This is how you expect Green Arrow to look. It's got that romantic Robin Hood kind of feel, and they've also brought back the ecological, so the villains aren't just superpowered or supervillains in here. He's fighting against the man, which is where Green Arrow works best. He's always been woke, and you need to lean into this. When Mike Grell wrote it, it was as woke as it came, but what was funny was Mike Grell is a conservative, and he said he just had to put his head in he just had to put his headspace in how somebody with extreme left-wing views would do it, and that's how he did it. There you go. It's always been his character, and it works perfectly. Denny O'Neil would be proud of this comic. Again, a 9.5 out of 10, near perfect. Another one that is just amazing. I've waited years for this. I love Justice League. It's the one big team comic that I love when it's done right. I love Grant Morrison's run. I adore James DeMatteis and Keith Giffin's run. I enjoyed it when it was, what would it called? The Detroit Justice League, something like that. I've got a long history of Justice League. I adore the Justice League, and it doesn't get much better than this. This has jaw-dropping. How does Dan Mora do 2 comics a month, and then you get somebody on a Marvel comic and can only do 1 issue every 6 issues? Nick Klein, which makes you stop buying the comic. He's a machine. The guy is a machine. I think he has assistants, but even still. And there's no weak panel on it. This is what you want with a Justice League comic. It's big, it's widescreen. There's about 4 or 5 different subplots going on, which all tie in at the end. I can't go into it too much because there's a big reveal at the end, but it just shows the global scope now of Justice League. It is unlimited. So the Watchtower now is partitioned off, so there's areas for the JSA, areas for the Titans if they want to use the Watchtower, and so on and so on and so on for Doom Patrol, you name it. So you'll see the team that's currently doing something, then they go to the Watchtower and you see other characters in the background. Oh, it's wonderful. It ticks every superhero geeky box you want. 10 out of 10. Another comic that I'm very pleased I took a chance with. Dan Waters' run on Nightwing. Tonally very different to Tom Taylor's run. It's got elements of Tom Taylor's run, but it also embraces more like the street level Chuck Dixon run. I don't like Chuck Dixon politically. I think he's objectionable and vile, but he wrote good Nightwing. And this brings back the Nightwing. In my head, he's always been like he's always had like the guardian angel persona of Daredevil, but with the lightness and optimism of Peter Parker. And Dan Waters has got that in this, and I love how it's got all the gangs of Bloodhaven clashing against each other and being played with like a puppet by the big bad. And I like how on the story carries on, you can see as we're working it out, Dick Grayson is working out as well, and the art by Dexter Soy I really love. It's very, very different to Bruno Redondo, but Bruno Redondo is so fine that he only did like 2 or 3 issues here and there. I think with Dexter Soy there's going to be much more of a consistent run, and I find it very pleasing to see how it works for this kind of story. It's a very street level, gang orientated story, and I like how they're making Nightwing is properly being the guardian of Bloodhaven, and yeah, great comic, 9 out of 10. Let me just have a drink. Now we come to the comic that replaces my subscription for Batgirl. This is The Question, All Along the Watchtower, Rennie Montoya. So I love that play on that classic song. So Rennie Montoya now is basically the detective on the JLA Unlimited, Justice League Unlimited Watchtower, the big space satellite. So she's not a copper anymore. She's basically the law who oversees superheroes now. I was freshening it out in my head. What does it remind me of? And it's not a comic. I'll come to it in a minute. But it's written by Alex Segura, who is becoming one of my favourite writers. He writes Dick Tracy, which everybody should be reading. It's the best crime noir comic going. And it's drawn by Sean Tormey, who did Batman Unlimited. His artwork is just beautiful. He draws a badass Rennie Montoya. I didn't used to like Rennie Montoya as The Question. I was very much, because I used to read the original one with Vic Sage by Denny O'Neil. But it's how they're writing it in this now. I didn't like it when she was working for Gotham Police Department, but this suits the character of The Question so much better. So it's basically a crime noir mystery in space. And it came to me tonight, I was just musing about it, thinking, what's it like? And it's Outland. I don't know if you remember the Sean Connery film, where it was science fiction, but there was nothing science fiction about it. They were just in space, but it was a mystery. It was a murder mystery, and that is what this is. It's glorious. 9 out of 10. Buy it, buy it, buy it, buy it. Because I think it's only a 6-issue one. And if enough people buy it, DC have this wonderful habit of turning it into an ongoing, so do that for this. Now, this is the one where I won't be carrying on any further. I've given it 2 issues. It's not bad. The artwork's nice, by Pete Woods. The writing by John Layman is okay, but there's so much better stuff coming out of DC All In and out of Ghost Machine that you've got to sacrifice some, and this one is on the chopping block. It's just okay, and even with the reveal at the end, and I love Deathstroke, it's not enough to pull me back. It's very workmanlike. I was kind of reading it, but I wasn't engaged. All these other comics I've just recommended, I was engaged all the way through. Wasn't engaged at the start. I was just reading about characters who didn't have personalities. So yeah, it's a 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10. But one has bags of energy, bags of personality, and I'm loving the new arts on it. The new artist on it is World's Finest. So Adrian Gutierrez, who was the Blue Beetle artist, is now the permanent artist on World's Finest. This Eclipso is one of my favourite villains. He's got the same energy of Dan Morrow, but it's different enough that it's his own personality, but it still works perfectly. I'm really enjoying this. It's a very smooth transition. Eclipso is just so great. He's not used enough, and I'm so pleased he's in this. What I like about Eclipso is he's a villain, but he's got a very real human foil. That's the person who he possesses, and he's a tragic villain, and it's kind of nice because the superheroes fights that, but they know who he is when he's not Eclipso, when he's possessed by Eclipso. So it brings out awkwardness for the heroes. Then we can't hurt him too much, because if we hurt Eclipso, we'll hurt his host body. And it's great, a very satisfying conclusion, and it's only a 3-part story, not a 6-issue bloated one. Mark Waid knows how to do a perfect superhero comic. 8 out of 10, and I love that cover by Dan Morrow, of course. Another one I think people are sleeping on, and don't sleep on it. If you're a fan of Darwin Cook's and Ed Brubaker's run on Catwoman by Torun Grumbex and Rascallo's Catwoman, just 2 issues deep so far. I mean, look at that cover. This is what I want from Catwoman. They've moved her away from Batman. She's now in Europe. It's glorious. It is a Euro crime thriller, and the artwork is beautiful. Torun Grumbeck has just got the beats of the comic down perfectly. I don't want to go into too much because there's a lot going in, and if I reveal anything of the plot, really, it'll ruin the fun of you discovering it for yourself. But it has that same kind of feel of like something like La Femme Nikita. I could imagine, or Leon. You could imagine the director of Leon making a brilliant film with this. It's just so nice. It's so refreshing. This is the Catwoman I've wanted for years and years and years. 9 out of 10. Again, just 2 issues. Go and buy it now. I've gone back on my word. I said I wasn't going to get any Marvel again, but there's a certain branch of Marvel where I thought I'll give it a few months, see how it goes, and they're looking good, and I'm pleased I didn't sell the comics. So this is me eating humble pie. Exceptional X-Men 2 and 3 by Canaro and Evo Ewing. What's Canaro's first name? Carmen Canaro. Artwork's really nice. The first issue was okay, but it felt cut short. It felt like it should have had another 10 pages. So after reading issue 2, I love that cover by the way, it makes sense more. This is the New Mutants, but this feels like the New Mutants, Chris Claremont's New Mutants back in the 80s, what he did with Bob McLeod. It's got that same kind of energy where it was one big glorious soap opera. Chris Claremont's X-Men comics was soap opera, and this is what this is. And I'm all here for it. Eve Ewing has a great way with dialogue. They've introduced the characters very naturally. She's got a brilliant take on what's she called? The White Queen. And yeah, it's fun. It's a really fun X-Men comic. I'm so pleased I decided to give it another chance. 8 out of 10, yeah, I'm all for it. This, wonderful. So I'm up to date now with The Uncanny X-Men by Gail Simone. Oh, it's wonderful. Even the fill-in artist. This is what put me off, but the fill-in artist really like, so I'm not complaining. This is my X-Men. Nightwing, Nightcrawler, my favourite X-Men character. Rogue, a close second. So, yeah, this has that same, like with the Exceptional X-Men, it's got that same kind of Claremont's feel or Louise Simonson feel. So yeah, I think I'm just on a nostalgia trip with these. My 2 favourite superhero teams in Marvel, number 1, Defenders. I think that's something I share with Geek It Oh Hog, and if you're not watching this channel, do watch it, it's really, really good. We're poles apart what we like, but that's why it works, because I'm a die-hard DC fan, he's a die-hard Marvel fan, but we meet in the middle and we agree to disagree on some things. But yeah, this is tweaking on what I want in the next one comic, and I'm even going to be giving the X-Men title by Jed MacKay a chance, even though didn't really like that comic. I think I'll see how it goes with the crossover, and then I might just stop it then. But yeah, I'm on board with this. I'm going to carry on with this. Definitely going to carry on with Exceptional X-Men. 9 out of 10 for this one. And that's where I've stopped. So I've got all this to read. So coming up with the rest of the comics. Oh, before I show you what these are, I've not got High Street this week. I went to my comic shop to pick up my massive pile of comics. And I said to him, "Oh, it's alright, I'll put the ones," because there's some that they doubled up by mistake. I'll put them on the shelf for you. And I put Hyde Street back on the shelf as well, High Street number 2, which I didn't want to do that, I wanted to buy it. So I've had to order that now online because they've sold out now of that one of mine. They have about one in. So that'll be coming next week, so I'll do that when that appears. Because yeah, I'm loving Ghost Machine. But the ones that I've still got to review are Jenny Sparks, All Winter number 5, Hornsby and Halo, Rocket Fellas, got the Ivan Reis cover because it's sold out of the other one, Geiger, Frankenstein, Paranoid Gardens, Grommets, and Feral. So that'll be the next review show, and I'll be doing another video looking at the February releases in Distillery and Image and DC and Marvel, and then I'll do a look at what's been going on with 2000 AD and Judge Dredd recently. That cover is gorgeous, but look at this cover. Cover of the week. There we go. So got those to look forward to. Hopefully get some midweek, and if not, the rest will be at the next weekend. Okay, bye. Because I might in fact incorporate that rest of the comics review with the comics I'll be getting for next week, because that's only going to be a small order, thank God. I think there's only about 6 or 7 issues this time, so yay. Anyway, hope you've had a really nice weekend, and see you soon. Bye.